Welcome back to Advocacy Alchemy with Professor Ross. I think tonight's going to be a night school session, but not the short kind, but a lecture. Tonight we're going to talk about victim impact statements. We're going to discuss what these are, why they are allowed in the American jurisprudence system, and we also are going to take a look at one of these. We're going to take a look at a video of a recent incident involving two people who were sentenced to 18 and 15 years, respectively, for being criminally negligent in how they handle their vicious dogs. This is a case out of Texas, San Antonio, Texas. And the sentencing just happened a couple days ago, September 20th. Let's get you all some background information. Let's take a look at this press release. All right. This is from the office of the Bear. That's how they say this. I used to live in San Antonio, actually. This is how they say this is Bear County Criminal District Attorney. All right. The district attorney is Joe Gonzalez. For immediate release, September 20, 2024. Defendants sentenced for fatal dog attack. Criminally negligent pet owners receive prison sentences. It says San Antonio, Texas. Christian Moreno and Abilene Snyder pled guilty on August 30, 2024 to the charge of attack by dog, resulting in death. Today, the 226th Judicial District Court Judge Mesa assessed punishment for both defendants. Christian Moreno was sentenced to 18 years and Abilene Snyder was sentenced to 15 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for the death of Ramon, I believe this is Najera or Nahera, and the injury sustained to Juanita Nahera. Additionally, if paroled, both defendants are prohibited from owning or possessing dogs. That's interesting. After they get out of prison, they will no longer be able to own or possess a dog. Here's the background information for everyone, okay? On February 24th last year, 2023, Ramon Nahera and his wife Juanita Nahera were viciously attacked by two pit bulls owned by the defendants. This occurred while Mr. and Mrs. Nahera were running an errand near the defendant's residence. The unprovoked attack was a direct result of the defendant's gross negligence. It's a term we'll come back to. As they failed to secure their dogs with adequate fencing, leaving the canines free to roam without leashes or restraints. Ramon Nahera suffered fatal injuries, while Juanita Nahera suffered bodily injury. All right, Assistant District Attorney Raul Jordan, Willem Van Zeben, and Russ Gifford led the prosecution with support from investigator George Filan and criminal victim advocate Brandy Jimenez of the Felony Criminal Trial Division. Bexar County District Attorney Joe Gonzalez stated this unfortunate tragedy was preventable. The defendants' failure to act responsibly and secure their pit bulls resulted in injuries and the loss of a life. I believe defendants received adequate punishment and justice has been served for the Nahera family. All right, so you see what that says. That talks about and gives an overview of what happened on this day. On September 20th, the judge handed out these sentences for 18 years and 15 years for a fatal dog attack. All right, one person died, the other person sustained injuries. We'll hear from the wife who lived but sustained injuries in this victim impact statement we're going to watch. Now, once again, that brings us back to the initial question. What is a victim impact statement and why is it important? All right, before we get down to our search, let me talk with you for just a second here, and we can kind of talk through how the criminal justice system works. All right, so a person is indicted or a criminal information is filed. After probable cause is found, the person should be arrested and held and brought to trial for a certain crime that's being alleged. A person goes to trial, and usually, and what a person is guaranteed by right in all criminal prosecutions, is a jury of their peers. All right? In most felony cases, it's going to be 12 jurors. All right? Misdemeanors, it could be different depending on your state. But in felonies, always will be at least 12. Many times, there'll be more than 12 because you need alternates in case someone falls ill during the course of a trial. All right? So you have a jury trial. Jury trial happens in two phases. You have the guilt or innocence phase, which is stage 1 of a trial. You have the sentencing phase, which is stage 2. Sometimes you'll have where people will be found guilty by a jury, but they'll decide to let the judge do the sentencing. All right, that's an option in my home state. All right. Sometimes it doesn't all happen on the same day. You may have a jury trial that happens one day. Sentencing will be held off until later on. In this case, we have sentencing that happened on another day. All right. Remember, we're in Texas. All right. For this case. But during sentencing, during the sentencing phase, both sides have the opportunity to put on additional evidence in order to convince whomever is going to be the fact finder, whether it be the judge or the jury, of how much time each side, when I say each side, you have defense and state, they're both going to be posing how much they want the defendant to serve for punishment. State usually is going to be asking for more. Defense will usually be asking for less. Most of the time, a jury may come down close to the middle, depending on what the facts and circumstances are. All right, so some of that evidence that's allowed to be brought is statements from the victim or the victim's family if there was a death. And the victim's family if there are certain heinous crimes. And those statements will be allowed. And remember, all this happens before a sentence is handed down, before the jury goes back and deliberates. And then after the statements are received, the response from the defendant or whatever statement the defendant wishes to give, and then sentencing happens. And that's when the sentence is handed out. Okay? All right, so that's going over how that works. All right, let's jump into our search here. And let's see in Texas, how does the victim impact statement work in the state of Texas? All right, let's see. We'll pull our search up here. And like I said, this is going to be a long lecture, okay? This is not going to be one of the shorter ones because as I was thinking about sentencing, And think about sometimes when you have the families that want to give a statement. And that's something that most people who've never been a part of a jury trial really kind of understand. You may have seen it in movies before. Perfect example. Here's a perfect example, guys. You've heard this before.
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
That was Samuel L. Jackson there, and he gave that in the movie, was it Mississippi Burning? I think it was Mississippi Burning, but anyways, racially charged movie. Children were killed, and they were on trial, and he made that statement. But that was on the stand when he was being questioned. Now, at the sentencing phase, family members are allowed to give a statement directly to the judge or directly to the jury from a podium, and not necessarily from a stand. It can be a pre-prepared statement, and most of the times, well, I won't say most of the times, many times, it's a very emotional time. But what this achieves for the justice system is closure, both for the community at large and the family or the victim as a participant in the criminal justice system. This allows for families or victims to have closure to the incident, meaning that after this statement is done, a sentence will be handed down, and that will be the end of it. Okay, let's jump in. Texas law for victim witness, or not victim witness, victim impact statements. Those two terms could be a little bit different. Victim witness is usually what you would call somebody when they're being called to the stand to testify. Victim impact statement is a little bit different. Okay, that's given at or right before sentencing, and it's called an impact statement because a person is talking about what impact this crime has had on their lives and their ability to go forward. Let's figure out what Texas is talking about on this one. All right, Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Chapter 56A. All right, in Texas, criminal victims have the right to submit a victim impact statement, a VIS, which provides an opportunity to detail the emotional, physical, and financial effects of the crime. This statement is considered during the sentencing of the offender and at parole hearings. So look, this will remain on file. Every time a person comes up for parole, they'll open that file back up and they'll read this victim impact statement again. And they will go into their consideration of how this person has done. Are they rehabilitated? And sometimes a person is denied parole. Key aspect of the victim impact statement in Texas. The purpose. A victim impact statement allows victims to convey the personal impact of a crime to the court, influencing the sentencing decisions and informing parole considerations. The process. The Texas Crime Victim Clearinghouse, part of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, develops the victim impact statement form used by law enforcement and prosecutors to document the offense's impact on the victim. Victim's rights. All right, look, here's the code here once again, 56A.051A12 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. Victims are entitled, that's a big term there. They have a right. Victims are entitled to be informed about the use and purpose of a victim impact statement. Additionally, they have the right to request victim offender mediation coordinated by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Victim Services Division. Submission. Victims can obtain the VIS form from law enforcement agencies, prosecutors, or the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Victim Services Division. The completed statement should be submitted to the appropriate authority handling the case. All right? All right. I think that's enough initial background about this. What we can look up. Let's look up criminal negligent behavior in Texas. We'll let that one look up, and then we'll look at attack by dog causing death law. All right, Texas Penal Code Chapter 6, culpability generally. All right. In Texas, criminal negligence is defined under the Texas Penal Code and pertains to situations where an individual fails to be aware of a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the conduct may cause. All right. Look at this, distinguishing criminal negligence from other mental states. All right, because you have intentionally, you have knowingly, you have recklessly, then you have criminal negligence. Look, it's kind of far down on this list. Intentional means direct. All right. All right, acting with the conscious objective to engage in conduct or cause a result. Knowingly, that's acting with awareness that the conduct is or of a certain nature and that a certain circumstance exists. Recklessly is acting with conscious disregard of a substantial and unjustifiable risk. Criminal negligence, failing to be aware of a substantial and unjustifiable risk that one ought to be aware of. One ought to be aware of. That's interesting, right? All right. So with that, let's look at the attack by dog causing death law. All right, this is found in the Texas Health and Safety Code, Chapter 822. In Texas, dog owners can face criminal charges if their dog's attacks result in another person's death. The severity of these charges depends on factors such as the owner's knowledge of the dog's behavior. That means they're going to look into the history of the dog. Has it bit someone before? Have there been complaints before? And the circumstances of the attack. Key statutes, attack by dog. That's found at Section 822.005. It says an owner commits an offense if, with criminal negligence, they fail to secure the dog. Secure the dog. Remember in the document we saw at first, the press release talked about failing to have the dog secured or on a leash or restraint. And the dog makes an unprovoked attack, causing serious bodily injury or death, occurring outside the owner's property or vehicle. They know the dog is dangerous. The dog attacks someone outside a secure enclosure, causing serious bodily injury or death. Ooh, they have attack by dangerous dog. All right, so that's at 822.044. If a dangerous dog makes an unprovoked attack outside an enclosure, causing bodily injury, the owner commits a Class C misdemeanor. So attack by dangerous dog looks a little bit different than attack by dog causing death. Right? Injury or death is in that one. This just says causing bodily injury. Seems like you need to put the term dangerous dog in this one if they're going to cause serious bodily injury or death. Dangerous dog. Here's the definition of what dangerous dog is. I was just talking about that. All right, dangerous dog. A dog that has previously attacked, bitten, or let's go back. Previously attacked or bitten a person or animal, or whose behavior indicates the tendency to attack. serious bodily injury, injury that creates a substantial risk of death, causes death, or results in the serious permanent disfigurement or loss of function of any bodily member or organ. Look, recent cases, they have it right here. This is our case. In September 2024, a Texas couple was sentenced to prison after their pit bulls mauled an elderly veteran to death. They were found criminally negligent for failing to secure their dogs, leading to the fatal attack. Owner responsibilities. All right, you have to have a secure enclosure, leash or a muzzle, registration, and insurance on your dog. All right, with that, that's a lot of information, but it's enough for us to go ahead and jump in to the video. And we have it here queued up. Okay, guys, we're back. This is I had to fix a few things in this, I guess in the back end. Let's see if we can get this bad boy working this time. All right, we'll just start from the top and we'll let it run.
If the defendants can please stand. For purposes of the record, I have reviewed all of the exhibits that were admitted. In the punishment phase of this case, I have reviewed the pre-sentence investigation report and the TAP evaluation of each of the defendants. Is there any legal reason we cannot proceed to sentencing today?
None on behalf of Mr. Whatever, Your Honor.
Does it have Mr. Snyder? No, Judge.
Yes, and
Okay, so you see that she started off by asking, is there any reason why we can't proceed to sentencing? Any legal reason? And what she means is, are there any outstanding motions that have to be dealt with before we can proceed to sentencing? And right now she's asking the two attorneys so that the record remains clear. So it's up to them. If they fail to say something now, then they potentially could be waiving whatever issue. All right? And many times, if you don't make your objections on the record, you may not reserve an issue for appeal. And I say may not because it all depends on what you were trying to say or do. Okay? All right, let's let her jump back in. Let's let Judge Mesa talk.
Mr. Rodriguez could not be here, right?
Yes, Judge.
And-
Dennis Moreno standing in the room.
Yes, Mr. Moreno. Any objection, or you want to proceed with Mr. Moreno, Ms. Schneider? Okay. What happened to Mr. Nájera was an unspeakable horror that is going to resonate in our community for a very long time. Unlike any other cases I have presided over, this one is different. It is different because we're not dealing with an intentional act. We're not dealing with a drive-by shooting or any other type of murder. It was a case of criminally negligent behavior.
All right, so notice she laid out she laid out basically a perfect framework. She says the community will be affected forever here. The thing is, this was not an intentional act like a drive-by shooting or any other type of murder. This was due to someone's negligence, criminal negligence, meaning they should have known or they should have done better, but they failed to do so.
On the one hand, we have the City of San Antonio Animal Care Services swearing under oath, giving testimony that left me with the impression that this was about a missing affidavit, that none of the previous bite victims came forward to declare the dogs dangerous dogs. After hearing from
She says she thought the case was one way because none of the victims came forward talking about these dogs being dangerous before. Listen to her. She's going back over everything, and it's all leading to a point of why she's going to give the punishment she's going to give, all right? Notice, when you go to court and the judge is speaking like this from the bench about what they have seen and experienced when dealing with this case. All right, that means that a decision is about to come. All right, let's jump back in.
Neighbors on Decla and Darby Street. I find the testimony I heard from the city of San Antonio very difficult to believe. What I do believe is the people from the West Side neighborhood. I find the testimony of David Avila, Fernanda Esparza, Deborah Flores, Sylvia Avila, not only credible, but very persuasive and compelling. The city of San Antonio is not on trial here, and they will have their day in court and their lawsuit to contend with. But about this case, what I do have to say is that it's not about a missing affidavit. Clearly, our city has a lot of work to do to provide services to deal with responsible dog ownership. To echo what most, if not all, the witnesses testified to, this was preventable. If the first line of defense fails because the dog owners are not responsible, the second line of defense should not have failed. Mr. Moreno, Ms. Schneider, this is about responsible dog ownership. It involves not only taking care of your dog, but ensuring the safety of the people in our neighborhoods, in our communities, not only the people, but other pets in the neighborhood and communities. We all have that responsibility to each other, and you failed at that. Mr. Moreno, it is the order of the court that you will be sentenced to 18 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, Institutional Division. There is a $5,000 fine, no restitution. The victim has not requested restitution. You are prohibited from owning or possessing any dogs if you make parole on this case.
So you heard, $5,000 fine, 18 years in the Department of Correction. You are not allowed to own or possess a dog after you get out of confinement. The victim did not request any restitution for her injuries or for the death of her husband. All right. Now, I will make it known that even though a victim doesn't request restitution in the criminal case, they can go after a person civilly, meaning for a money judgment later on. Okay? All right. Let's let her keep going. She's going to go with Miss Snyder next. This is Mr. Marino here, and Miss Snyder will be next.
This is a plea bargain case. However, you have the right to appeal the rulings of the court on a pretrial order. Ms. Schneider.
All right. Notice she said something very interesting here. Okay, or it's a point that we will have our ears perk up. This is the result of a plea bargain. This is a plea. This didn't go to jury trial. And he still has the right to appeal afterward. Why am I harking on that? Because usually when a person accepts a plea bargain, they lose the right to appeal. And that's usually stated, and the judge wants a person to know that. Why? Okay, the reason why is if the judge is going to do exactly what's in the plea bargain, then you have received everything you want. If you're the defendant, everything you bargained for, you received. Therefore, you lose your right to appeal. It becomes a contract in form and fashion. So with her telling him in advance, you'll have the right to appeal, even though this is a plea bargain. That lets you know there may be a deviation coming up. Let's listen. And when I say deviation, that means something different than what was previously discussed, a deviation from what was standard. That's what deviation means. Let's see what's going to happen.
Your sentence is 15 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division. There is a sentence is 15 years confinement. You have the right to appeal the rulings of the court on a pretrial order. Ms. Schneider, your sentence is 15 years confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Institutional Division. There is a $5,000 fine, no restitution because Ms. Nájera does not want it. You two are prohibited from owning or possessing any dogs if you make parole. Both of you are also ordered to have no contact with Depla Street and Darby Street. Yours is also a plea bargain case, however, you have the right to appeal the pretrial rulings of the court. Do we have any impact statements?
We do, Your Honor.
Line them all up, and let's get started. You're remanded to the custody of the sheriff to begin your sentence.
Okay, so I will let you know, it is interesting that she has told them what their sentence is, and now they're being remanded into the custody of the sheriff. And now the victim witness or the victim impact statements will be heard. If they have any statements, they'll be heard, and then they'll be taken back to jail. I don't know if the judge is going to hand down a final sentence. It's different, but she already told them what they're going to be sentenced to. Now they must remain in the court and hear the statement of the victims. I just thought something that we're going to have for everyone to do out there listening, okay? If you make it this far in the case or if you make it this far in the lecture, I want you to do something this evening. Go over to YouTube and in the search bar, type in courtroom footage, victim witness, victim impact. I keep saying victim witness. Victim impact statements. And see what pulls up. You'll probably see quite a few of these. And we're going to get into that portion of the video. This is the most important part. While we've been talking about this, is coming up. The actual victim impact statements. Okay? All right, let's continue forth. All right, here's our first victim here. I believe this is Miss Juanita here, so let's listen. Miss Juanita Nájera.
My name is Juanita G. Nájera. I'm the widow of Ramon Nájera. I would have never imagined that I would be calling myself a widow at this time of my life and in this tragic way. PTSD is now something I will have to deal with the rest of my life. Extreme loneliness and emptiness will also be a part of my life. You both took a big part of my life.
All right, notice that she started off and she talked about exactly what she has lost. She said, PTSD will now be a part of my life. You took the love of my life. See the emotion, hear the emotion in her voice, in her face. This is all part of the criminal justice system. The victim's opportunity to be made whole. Sometimes that's a part of that process of bringing justice to someone, allowing them to have closure by confronting the defendant, the convict in this case now, and telling them how much you've hurt me. All right, let's let her continue with her statement.
Away! You took my better half away! When my husband was brutally and unexpectedly taken from me, I was blessed to have my daughter, Anna. She lives here in San Antonio. She took me into her home and took care of me. She would help me bathe. She would feed me, take me to my appointments. And you know why I needed all that help? Because when your dog attacked me, I could hardly walk. My whole body would tremble. I could hardly get out of bed.
So listen, she stated it directly. The reason why I needed so much help is because your dog attacked me. Check out my deputy here, the bailiff. He's on watch. He's ready to jump on anybody if they make any moves over here. This is a very emotional time for both sides right now. Okay, they have just been sentenced, and now they have to listen to her. So he has to be on guard. Anything can happen. Go back and watch our video that we had about the judge who was testifying in the case where she was attacked by a defendant that she was sentencing to prison. So with that, let's jump back in. Let's hear what she has to say. It can be emotional. Court can be emotional. These are very trying times and jobs and things of that nature, okay? It's not easy all the time. All right, let's let Miss Juanita finish.
Without any help, I had to have help every day. My son, Carlos, a retired Marine, he had to put his life on hold. His family, he had to come down and take care of me. All my financial needs, he helped me with everything. He also provided meals for me. To this day, my daughter Anna, she's still helping me. And my son, even if he's in San Diego, he calls me. He calls me every day to find out how I'm doing. It's been hard for me to depend on their help for whatever I need. From going to court, doctor's appointments, and other needs. My son's in California, he still calls me and keeps in touch with me. It's been hard for me. I found myself feeling so depressed and weak when they had to leave me. I remember saying goodbye to my son when he left, and I held on to him, and I cried, and it broke his heart to leave me behind. But he had a family to take care of and a job, and being with me 2 months he took off to be with me.
All right, so you hear her son had to take off for 2 months to come and be with his mother, help her get through that very hard time. Let's keep going.
My daughter Lily, she also took part. She took care of me. She would clean my house. My son Ramon, he would take care of the yard for me. All of them, during this critical time, have helped me so much. All of them have felt the stress that you guys caused on us. And you already got your sentencing.
All right, so just for background, she named 4 children there. She said she named Carlos, Ramon Jr., Anna, and Lily. All right, so 4 children had to come and be there for the mom, after someone, at least we know, at least Ramon Jr. probably, father died. Maybe all 4 father passed away tragically. So that puts everyone's lives on hold. So you can see why a victim impact statement might be from more than just the mother. You might hear from all the family members. Now, I believe this one does not. It's only going to be maybe one more person after her, because we only have 13 minutes in all. We're on minute 9 right now. But I'll tell you a famous case that happened some years ago now. I guess that would have been maybe 7 or 8 years ago now. Maybe 6, the Larry Nassar trial. The Olympic doctor, the Olympic gymnast doctor, who was known for sexually assaulting all those minor athletes and women. I think their victim impact statement lasts for a day or two. They had so many women that came in, and he had to sit there through each one, and he had to be admonished. Go back and watch that one. Go look at the Larry Nassar victim impact statements. You don't have to watch all of them, but just look at how long they are. Look at the grand total that you may find on the video. Or do a search. And that might be a search we'll do at the end, and I'll show you how you can find it maybe on YouTube too. All right? But
you have left an everlasting impact in our lives. You took my husband's life. I feel that you are serving what you deserve for the crime you committed. Indirectly, it happened, but you could have prevented it. You could have done something. You could have realized that those dogs needed to be put down. And I think you got the adequate punishment. And right now, there's somebody that should be sitting right there next to you guys. And it should be the city. The city should be there sitting next to you guys because they are guilty too. And I'm glad that Judge Mesa, I know that the Lord was with you when you made this decision, and it was hard for you too. But I thank you.
Okay, so hearing from Miss Juanita Nera, I think that wherever the original bargain was, it has been deviated from, okay? And I believe that's the exact reason why the judge has informed them they have 30 days to appeal the decision here today, okay? Let's let them finish.
I need to go out. I see.
To Christian and Abilene, our father would still be here if it were not for your combined acts of omission and conscious indifference. Your disregard for caring neighbors, defiance against public safety, and other public servants contributed to this horrific death, causing great pain to our family. I have not yet heard from you that, as you said, that I'm sorry to our family. You are unremorseful, disgusting individuals. Disrespectful, you don't deserve to be released as free people in our city. Your negligence with dogs has horrified the senses locally nationally and around the world. It was your duty to take care of these dogs. Consider the safety of your neighbors. Using the common sense as pet owners, you should have controlled your dogs on a daily basis. Clearly, you trained these dogs because they responded immediately to your commands after you attacked my dad. Also, given common sense, they were trained at some level to fight. And that was your doing. My father, Ramon Najera, and his wife, Janie, did not deserve this cruel and gruesome experience that ultimately ripped my father from our family. My father had easily 20 years of life to live yet. That's all I have.
Man, don't hit me with the manual coordinate at the end, but anyways. You see, that is what it's like during a victim impact statement. You have the families there. They're telling about how they've been affected. You see the defendants have to sit there and listen. And they will have the opportunity, if they wanted to offer a statement in return, to say, I'm sorry, or anything of that nature. Let's scroll back. This son here, this is one of the sons, he said he hasn't heard any remorse from them, and they got everything they deserved. He said these dogs they seem to be trained to some level because they responded back to these two owners, and also they seem to be trained to fight, to be fighting dogs. That's interesting. You heard the mother talk about that the city should also be there and being held responsible. I can almost guarantee you there's going to be a civil case after this is over against the city for those dogs not being dealt with before. If there were other incidences and violations and those dogs were still allowed to remain, then the city could be held liable. Responsible. That's what liable means, liability. The issue is that in some places, they may have tort reform where you can't, there's a certain cap on how much you can sue individuals for certain actions, and also if the city of San Antonio has immunity. See, I don't know what the Constitution of Texas says, but potentially, I guess it may be a possibility for them to go and get sued. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that? Let's take a look at a couple things here. Where do we want to start? Let's see. I think we're at about an hour now in. We looked at that. Oh, yeah. Let's look at how can we find the information on this case. That would be a pretty good search. All right, y'all. Let's take a minute. Find a place for where I want. Let's put it there. is up with our search? Let's make sure we got you. All right, there you go. All right, we got a search pulled up. Let's start here. Texas law for we want to start. Let's find Texas Bear County. Case lookup. Let's try this. Let's see if it's gonna get us to the portal. Let's see. The Bear County court records. Let's see if it's gonna give us the criminal case lookup. Let's take a look at what the actual court documents look like on this case. See if we can find them. I've done 2 searches here. My first one was Texas Bear County case lookup. It pulled back this records here. Let's see what this other one pulls back. Oh, I think it may have given me what I need. Oh, criminal court records search. Yep. All right, let me open this one up. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna. Maybe we can put it on this logo screen. Okay, here we go, guys. All right, so I went through what it had pulled up here. Let's see. I went to the link here, and it took me in, and I just had to kind of follow the prompts looking for criminal case lookup until I got to this page that I'm on now. And this page is actually where we can find, this is Justice Info Portal. All right, and search bear org. Let me go to this one. Yep, here we go. Welcome to the Bear County Justice Portal site. This is where we can look up some stuff. All right, you can search for hearings. You can search the jail. You can make payments if you were from there. So let's go to Smart Search. What's his name? Marino or Marina? Christian Marino. All right, we're doing the search live, guys. Let's see. Can we pull them back and can we find them? All right, Christian Marino. All right, you see it pulls up all of his cases. These are traffic cases, so we're looking for a felony. Managing conservatorship, that's not it. Divorce, delinquent taxes, divorce. A motor vehicle accident, traffic. Let's do 200 per page. Debt collector, misdemeanor, pre-file, nope. Let's see. Other injuries. Oh, here we go. This is looks like a civil one. Let me see if you all can see that. Yeah, you all can see. All right, looks like this one was disposed of December 11th of 23. Case closed, dismissed by plaintiff. All right, she was the plaintiff in this one against him, and she dismissed it. All right, order for non-suit. All right, usually, let me tell you how it works. A non-suit under federal law is found under Rule 41 of the Rules of Civil Procedure. All right, that means when you voluntarily stop your case, and you usually can start it back up within a year's time with no punishment. Okay. Felony. Here we go. Make sure it's showing you exactly what I'm saying. Yep. All right, look. Here's the case here, guys. We've found it. Just so you know, most court cases can be found online. If someone has a felony case, unless it involves some very sensitive material, you'll be able to find information about it online. Okay? And that's just the pervasiveness of how the justice system can run more efficiently, is many places are going to a more online format, so people don't have to come into an office and receive the paperwork by hand. State of Texas versus Christian Alexander Marino. Here's the case number here. And this is how we can pull it up otherwise. DC 2023 CR, which means criminal, 7154A. Usually if there's an A, there's a B. Usually that means there's more than one person on the case as a defendant. All right, look, it tells us the judge. That's the one we just saw there. It was filed initially on August the 17th of 23. All right, look, a notice of appeal was filed on the 23rd of September. That sentence was handed out on September 20th. So 3 days later, they filed a notice of appeal. Looks like there's an attorney's bond of $75,000. The original agency was the San Antonio Police Department. Arrest date was March 17th. All right, let's go back to our, if I still have it pulled up here. Let me pull up this release real fast, if I can find it. Okay, I found it, guys. Take a look at this press release again. All right, look at this press release again. All right, this says that this incident happened on February 24th of 23. He wasn't arrested until March 17th of 23. So that's almost a whole month later, 25 days later. All right, we have the previous case assignments. All right, we have the case events. Look, over on the side, we have the summary, we have the hearings, the dispositions. All right, this takes us all the way down to the disposition of what happened here. There was a plea Look, the plea was on August the 27th. Disposition and sentencing was done on a month later, on September 20th. All right, he was sentenced to he was sentenced to a fine and term. Let's see, there's his fines, his court costs. Grand total is $5,290. Confinement to commence that day. 18 years to Texas Department of Correction, Department of Justice. I'm sorry, Department of Criminal Justice. He'll receive jail credit for 23 days in jail. No contact with. I don't know. This is 2 street addresses, I guess. All right. So you see, we can go in and we can find these cases. Here's the other case here. This must be the death. No, this is the reckless injury. So this is to actually Juanita. The other one was on her husband, the death itself. No firearms person, possession, own, or use. Okay. $50,000 bond on this one. $75,000 on the other, $50,000 on this one. Let's see. Let's see what the disposition is on this one. 923. Looks like this one was dismissed. Interesting. All right, let's go. Let's see, can we get the same information on Abigail? Not Abigail, I'm sorry. Her name is, Abilene. Motor vehicle, forcible entry and detainer. Here we go at the bottom. Look, the B. Remember the B? The 5-4, A and B. A was him, B is her. This is an attack by a dog resulting in death. $75,000 bond. Disposition, we can go here and see. She was found guilty. She pled guilty to the court. 15 years. She received 21 days jail time credit. Same fine and costs. Hearings. Okay. Interesting. Oh, you guys can see it. Let me throw this back on so you could see where we were. All right, this is Abilene Snyder here. All right, here's the case I was talking about. Here's the B, the 154B. This is what it looks like when we go back inside of it. I was just looking over here on the sides, and I went to the disposition. This is where I find the sentence here. It's in bold. Let's see what the bond settings were. That's the original bond that was set back in August of 23, $75,000 in any form. Okay, we've done a video before on bonds. You can go back and take a look at that one. The audio may be bad, and we might have to do another one. And if you would like to hear another one where we go back over that again, we can. It's no big deal. All right. So with that, I think we're down to about the end of this one, guys. This is a long lecture, but it's important to understand about those victim impact statements. If you are going to go into the criminal justice field and you're going to be either a defense attorney or a prosecutor or anyone else who works in the court system, one day you will be in court and there will be the opportunity for a victim to give an impact statement. And you'll remember, or at least try to remember, what Professor Ross says. They can be quite emotional, but this is a part of how our system was built so that the victims can receive closure. That also helps the community at large if people have been there, the case has been publicized, and people see, oh, they had the opportunity to confront that person. That's like soul healing, soul food, good for your soul. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. This is Advocacy Alchemy with Professor Ross. This one was a little bit longer. There's a couple other things I kind of wanted to jump into, but I don't want this to go on for forever and be so long. With that, I hope you all have a great evening. I'll see you in the next video.